I'm ABC 13's Dana Evans. Trust is important. At ABC 13, you can trust that we're fighting for you, asking the tough questions, because accountability matters. Watch ABC 13 on TV or WSET.com. That's coverage you can count on.
Well, hello and welcome back to the Chamber Vibes podcast. If this is your first time listening, welcome. Let me just give you a rundown of what's going on. So I'm your host, Foster Garrett, Director of Marketing and Events for the Bedford Area Chamber of Commerce. And if you're not familiar with what chambers are, it's totally fine. We are a nonprofit membership organization that strives to help the Bedford area prosper by serving and collaborating with local businesses, organizations, and people. And every week I get to interview a different chamber member to find out what they do and why they do it. And this podcast is recorded right here in beautiful Bedford, Virginia, broadcasting on Grove Street FM and brought to you by Media Squatch. I also want to thank Mark Snowden with Lamar Outdoor Advertising for sponsoring this podcast. Without the support of people like Mark, we wouldn't be able to do this. And this podcast is just such an amazing way to allow different people and organizations to tell their story, and for you as listeners to get to know our community even better. I personally love doing this because I get to know so many different people. I get to know about them, what they do, why they're in Bedford. There's so many people that have come from all over and people that have chosen to come back or have lived here all their lives. And there are just so many hidden gems in Bedford, Lynchburg, Roanoke, and our entire region. And it's just a great way to get to know more things about the things that you may already know about and things that you may not know about. But before we get to the actual podcast, I do want to tell you about some of our upcoming chamber events. We have a really big one at the end of this week on Friday, April 18th from 10:30 to 2 at Jefferson Forest High School. If you've been listening to the podcast for a while now, you know that it's our spring job fair. And I am so excited. It is the week of the event, so I'm going crazy with getting all the things ready, but we have a great group of businesses that will be joining us. Over 30 of them from around the region will be there actively hiring different people for their companies. So if you're looking for a new opportunity, whether you've been out of work for a while or you're starting your career, or maybe you just want to change, this is a great way to kind of cut through the digital applications and go and meet the people that are behind the scenes at these businesses. And I'll just rattle off. There are a lot of them, so I'll just rattle them off really quickly because it's everything from insurance to construction to local government to education to utilities. You name it, it's probably there. But we have Aflac there, Alliance Human Services, Atlantic Union Bank, Bedford County Public Schools, Bedford County Sheriff's Office, the Bedford Police Department, the Bedford Regional Water Authority, Beeline Transport, Bison Printing, Blue Ridge Regional Jail Authority, Centra, Centos, Coleman Adams Construction, Delta Star, English Construction, Express Employment Professionals, First National Bank, Fortress Foundation Solutions, Foster Fuels, Georgia Pacific, Good Samaritan Hospice, Horizon Behavioral Health, iHeart Media, Intercept Health, MG Moving Services, Oakwood Health and Rehab Center, Omni Hotels and Resort, One Forest School, Peaks of Otter Restaurant and Lodge, Piedmont Eye Center, Spring Oak Senior Living, Total Plastic Solutions, and Terman Forest Products. Man, that was a mouthful, but you get the point. There are so many different businesses that are coming just to talk to you. So if you have a little bit of free time on Friday, whether you're coming on your lunch break or what have you, this is a great way to just put yourself out there, and we will make it as easy as possible. If you bring your resume, you're golden. We'll also have a food truck, Hotto's Authentic Lebanese Kitchen. They have been creating quite the buzz in the area, so even if you don't want to come and find a job, come just to get some lunch and check it out. We would love just to have you come through. And we'll also have the Cav Coffee Cart there. That's a really, really cool club at JF. The special education students will actually be running that as part of their career readiness, and we're so excited to have them be a part of this. We have so many other things that we're offering here: free childcare, a free work clothing closet, resource tables. We really go all out for our spring job fair, so we really encourage you to come on out. Even if you just want to make connections with the businesses there, come between 1 and 2. That's the last hour of the job fair. Events always die down in the last hour. That's a great time just to shake people's hands, say, thanks for putting yourself out here. This is what I do. This is who I am. I'm a chamber member. I'm not a chamber member. Just come on out. It'll be a great time. And you can learn more about our spring job fair on our website, bedfordareachamber.com. We have a full calendar of events with events from us and from our members. It's a great way to keep up with things in the area. But I will drop our phone number at the very end of the podcast so you can call us and ask more questions. So make sure to listen all the way through. But without further ado, please allow me to introduce today's guest, Kyle Draper with the Bedford Regional Water Authority.
Thanks for having me, Foster.
Of course. Thank you so much for joining me this morning. Well, Kyle, is this your first time being on a podcast?
I believe so. I was thinking about it on the drive in this morning. I don't think I've been on one before. So anyway, been present when they've been recorded, but I think this is my first time behind the mic.
Well, good. I love when people say that because I'm like, it's a little bit different from radio. A lot of people have dabbled in radio, but it's just a conversation between you and me. And we were actually doing like bad podcast practices sitting here before because we talked for so long, but we'll get to it. But before we kind of jump into the question and answers, can you just tell us a little bit about yourself and then about the BRWA?
Okay. I grew up pretty close by here in a small town, Martinsville, Virginia. That's part of my attraction to Bedford. I actually live in Roanoke. I commute in about 40 minutes every day. I've spent probably the good part of the last 2 or 3 decades in media. I worked for the Roanoke Times years and years ago in WDVJ7. And most recently, I worked for an ad agency in Roanoke, and very similar to where we're recording now. Actually, these production facilities are a lot nicer than what we have in Roanoke, so pretty cool. But anyway, and because of my attraction to a small town, when I saw the communications supervisor position open at the BRWA, I decided to come out and interview for it, and the rest has just been quite magical. I can't say enough about my time there. It's been a lot of fun, and that's how I got to meet you. I think the last time you and I we were on the mic show together talking about back in January, I think we were talking about reverse flow, some technology that we have in Bedford that a lot of much bigger areas don't have, that prevents us from getting into certain situations like they had back in Richmond in January where they had a water crisis there. And it's kind of interesting. We see so many of these things in Bedford and we just take them for granted. The technology that makes that available, people drive by it on 460 every day and don't even know it's there. It's just this nondescript little building and it makes it all possible. So when we had some outages in these snowstorms over the winter, Lynchburg had an event where they weren't able to give us a little bit of water that we pull from them. It didn't cause any interruptions in our water service. We just kept going. So it's pretty cool with all these different projects. And I just really enjoy being here in Bedford, and the people are just awesome.
Yes, there's so much that you just said that I want to dissect because you're absolutely right. I love being in a rural area, a community that's close-knit. We are the 5th largest county in the state of Virginia geographically, so I know that presents a lot of challenges for a lot of people, including the Water Authority. But it is really cool being here and being a part of it. And also, the Water Authority itself is one of the larger employers in Bedford. And you guys have, like you said, a lot of different technology that is significantly advanced compared to not just like our neighboring counties, but as a whole. Do you want to talk a little bit more about reverse flow? Because that was something that was a long time in the making.
It was a couple years in testing, and we had a couple of mishaps, and our customers were so patient with us as we were working through all that. I think that's the other thing. I think with Bedford, the people here are very reasonable, and a lot of times they can take a step back and see that the big picture of what we're doing. And yes, with that, basically what reverse flow, most of the time with most of your water utilities, you push the water out, you pull the water from a source, you treat it, and then you push it out. And that water only flows in one way. Well, we have a series of valves that actually allow the water to flow in 2 ways, 2 different directions. So mostly we pull our water from Smith Mountain Lake to serve that area of the county. We pull our water from the Stony Creek Reservoir to serve that area. And then, like I said, in Forest, and then we get a little bit of our water from Lynchburg. And basically what happened is if the power goes out at Smith Mountain Lake or Smith Mountain Lake facility, we can then pull water from Stony Creek and push it out to those customers down there so they never have any interruption in their water and vice versa. So it's pretty cool that we're able to do that. And again, back in Richmond, we heard about it in January.
Oh, yeah.
And so everybody heard about it. And that was right before we did that show together. So it was a nice way to talk about it. And the timing couldn't be better because, like I said, we had just finished that testing when it started. And so we were really excited about that. We have a lot of projects that we're working on, trying to stay ahead technologically speaking. Yesterday I was just up on Turkey Mountain. We're putting a new booster station up there, and you're talking about putting a booster station on the side of a mountain.
Oh yeah.
It has unique challenges, and we had a crane and 2 rotator trucks, which is the big wreckers that pull tractor trailers, and they were up there putting this thing up. So it was absolutely amazing getting to get up there and see that and witness it firsthand. We also Helm Street tank. Helm Street, a lot of people may remember the town of Bedford. That was where their public service authority or their water utility was located, up on top of a hill here in Bedford. And basically what we've done is we torn down the old tank up there, and we've rebuilt a new one, and we hope to bring that online along with the Turkey Mountain booster station in the next couple of months. So it's a pretty exciting time. And then we're working on our Ivy Creek sewer project. That's one we've ran into a few challenges that we weren't looking forward to or weren't expecting when we got into it. So we're doing our best. Hopefully we can get that one knocked out by the end of this year as well. If not by the end of this year, the first part of next year. So it's an exciting time for us here in Bedford.
You guys have a lot going on.
Oh my gosh. And I didn't even talk about it, but right now, one of the things that our communications department is working hand in hand with engineering is the lead service line inventory project. And water utilities across the country are working with the federal government. We all heard a few years back, I hate to keep bringing up localities, but we all know about the water crisis in Flint, Michigan. And that really brought national attention to a thing that we all have aging pipes, and a lot of these old pipes are lead. So basically what all these water utilities are doing, are we're working with the federal government to inventory not just the lines that we use, but also the lines that go from our meter to people's homes, which we have no control over, making sure that those lines are safe or made out of safe materials. So one thing we're doing is we're trying to poll everyone. I think of our 20,000 plus customers, we've got it down to 400 that we haven't done. So yeah, it's going really well. So if you get an email from us, this is my plug here. So I'm sorry, but anyway, I plug within a plug. But anyway, if you get an email from us, there's a link. It'll take you about 5 minutes to complete the survey. We make it easy to help you identify what the line is coming into your home. And the cool thing about this is if once you complete it, you'll come off our list and we won't send you another email about that. So that's a little
nice guarantee.
So that's a little incentive there if you'll complete that for us and help us out, because we are wanting to try to get these knocked out in the next year or so. And again, it's for the safety of our public. So
yeah, and I think when Megan came on the podcast last year, we covered a lot of the bases on what the Water Authority is, and also you had just done your strategic planning, and it was really interesting hearing about the strategic planning process, because everybody at the Water Authority was a part of it. Every single person, every department, down from maintenance to operations. And I think some of the top things that everybody found really important was good service, keeping the community healthy, and treating the environment well. And keeping the community healthy, I mean, going from God knows how many lead pipes down to only 400 out of your 20,000 people that use. I mean, that's just 20,000 households too. That's not even like a stat on people. That's amazing, genuinely. And you guys don't really have, it's not your burden to take care of other people's pipes.
Exactly. Well, that is something, and you've got to really, it's not just us, it's water utilities all across the country. They've really worked in partnership with the federal government. And the federal government has realized it was a problem, but it was such a huge problem, it was hard for them to tackle. So, so a lot of that burden has been shifted to the local utilities to try to figure it out. So that's what we're all doing, and hopefully we'll get there. That's we've got a mandate in place to get this knocked out in the next year or so. So hopefully we can get these down, and it'll limit us having to go door to door, because we know people don't want us on their property. They don't want us knocking on their door. So hopefully if we can get some of these surveys completed, that'll save them from having that experience. So,
I mean, you gotta do what you gotta do to get rid of these lead pipes, man.
Exactly.
Well, that's awesome. And you've mentioned some of the booster projects and other things that you guys are working on, as well as some of the random little shacks and stuff on the side of the road that people just pass by. Until my friends started working at the Water Authority, I also just passed those things by. Now I feel like I look for it no matter where I go. It's really interesting infrastructure because you don't notice it's there, but you take it for granted so much.
Well, and one of the things that we're trying to do that we really do try to look to the past
Mm-hmm.
for guidance into the future. I know we were out yesterday when we were going up Turkey Mountain. I was talking to another one of our team members, and he was pointing out, he goes, okay, this is a sewer lift station. And then if you look way back there, you'll see an old pump station that we don't use anymore, but we're trying to figure out a way to utilize it so we can use it again in a different way, repurpose it. And it's kind of funny. I haven't done the social media post yet. I've got it and just haven't had a chance to get it out there. But a lot of people don't know that we built the Smith Mountain Lake Water Treatment Facility on the site of an old prison. And so anyway, that we utilize that. In fact, we utilize a lot of the wastewater infrastructure that was already there. We figured out a way to repurpose it for that use down there. But one of the cool things was we kept one of the outbuildings. And we also kept, there's a couple of pegboards in there. And when you walk in, you see these pegboards and you see the outlines of all the tools on them. And it's really cool. The reason that they have that was so that when they would let their trustees work and use the tools, and every night the guards could look up at the board and make sure all the tools were there, and they would highlight if one was missing, they had an issue. So it's really cool that, we talked about how technologically advanced we are. We do try to pay homage to the past and history. So anyway, it's pretty cool.
I had no idea. This is going to sound so bad, Kyle. I've always thought that Turkey Mountain was creepier than SML.
Yeah.
But maybe SML is creepier. Well, Turkey Mountain's just so old. It has its charm, of course. But, I mean, comparatively, Smith Mountain Lake, that treatment facility is amazing.
Yes, it is technologically advanced when you compare it to Turkey Mountain. But Turkey Mountain has a charm all its own.
It does.
Yeah, you have a lot of wildlife up there. It's just really cool just to be up there. You're away from everything, but it's kind of taking a step back in time when you look at that architecture. And and it also shows, talk about history. It shows what attention to detail that people in the late 1960s paid, that they put that type of architecture into a building that no one would ever see.
Literally.
And it just blows me away when I go up there and see it, and to see that. So anyway.
It is super cool. Well, I know that you guys have a big event coming up, and this is also a throwback to 2 years ago to some of the upgrades that we got to be a part of and celebrating. So do you want to tell us a little bit about that? Yes,
it's really cool. We were talking about all these other projects we're doing, and this is when we get to actually celebrate 2 years into it, and the savings that we've realized, and a lot of the main goals that we set. As you mentioned, you were there for the ribbon cutting 2 years ago. I saw the pictures. I was going back, even though I wasn't there, I was going back through some of the old pictures and saw you there. And thank you for coming and supporting us.
Of course.
But anyway, what we're doing is that project was done with a grant. It was at our central wastewater facility on Orange Street. And basically, this grant that we had, we were guaranteed that we would get the money back of the investment we made in savings. And we did that in the first year.
That's so awesome.
Yeah, it was really cool. But that wasn't really the reason we did it. The reason we did it was because we wanted to do what was right for the environment. And so a couple things that happen there with it is it cuts down the amount of sewage overflows. So we have a lot less untreated sewage going back into our waterways. We also, I don't want to get too technical here, but with the technology there, with the sludge that we produce, we can get more water out of that. So by compressing it, so we get the water back, we can send that back through to be treated again and recycled. And then that means that we're sending out less to the landfill, which means fewer trips, less volume, smaller carbon footprint. So all of that is huge for the environment. And then another benefit of it that's not so much for the environment, but it build in a lot of redundancies in our system, so we don't have as much system failure as what we've had in the past. So we maintain really good service levels for our customers. So that was basically what this project was all about. And then last year we were approached by Schneider Electric. They were our partner in this event. And they came and they wanted to know, hey, could we could commemorate these savings? Because this is just crazy how efficient this has been. So we agreed, and we've been working on this event, and it's amazing in the fact that Schneider Electric chose us. They have over 150,000 team members worldwide in over 100 countries, and they've chosen Bedford, Virginia for their Earth Day event this year coming up on Tuesday. So that's quite humbling for us to be chosen for something like that. So anyway, because of the way this project worked out, where we were saving money and doing what was good for the environment, it's crazy the people that wanted to get behind it when we reached out to them. The speakers that we're going to have there at 11 a.m. on Tuesday, it's going to be Senator Mark Peake, Delegate Tim Griffin, Delegate Eric Zayer, U.S. Representative Morgan Griffith, Robert Weld, who is Director of the Blue Ridge Regional Office of the Department of Environmental Quality, Bill Tanger, who's Chairman of Friends of the Rivers of Virginia. I know I'm sounding like you when you read off all those names at the beginning of the podcast, but then we've got Kyle Simpson, who is Program Manager of Central Virginia Land Conservancy, our Board Chairman, Bob Flynn, Pam Jenny, who is Director of Project Development Engineering for Schneider Electric, and Brian Key, our Executive Director, are all going to be speaking. And what's so cool when you read that list of names is, in this day of polarization and derision, that we have a list of speakers where you have environmental activists, you have conservative-leaning legislators, you have regulators who can all come together and for one cause and one project. And to be able to celebrate that on Earth Day is just so awesome that we just can't say enough about it. So we're very excited about this project. We would like to have the people of Bedford come out to 852 Orange Street. You just said it's about an hour, about less than a mile from where we're recording the podcast.
About 2 minutes away.
Yes, and so we would love to have everybody come out at 11 o'clock on Tuesday morning to help celebrate this with us.
That is awesome. That's a crazy list of speakers too.
And it was really weird because we weren't really planning on a program that long, to be quite honest with you, because we're sitting there going, okay, we're going to cast this wide net and just see who we can get. But everybody, once we explained it to them, they're like, oh my gosh, yes, I would love to come talk about that. And they're all have got different, I've been communicating with them all, and they're all got different points of the project that they would like to address, so that hopefully, fingers crossed, they're not stepping on each other in their comments. But anyway, they've been awesome to work with. I can't say enough about their legislative assistants that we've been working with in this process. The team at Schneider Electric have been absolutely amazing. I know they've got not just their Roanoke people. I think their market director is flying in for this event. They've got another person who is driving up, I think, from Wilmington, North Carolina. So this is a big event for Schneider as well. So we're just got fingers crossed that the weather, we're looking at the advanced weather. We have a tent, so come rain or a lot of sunshine, we can get out of the elements. So we're just really excited to have a good time and celebrate this event.
Yeah, and honestly, I've done the wastewater tour twice now. Once at the ribbon cutting for the EPCO project? ECMO?
It's yes, and this is one of the things you're killing me, Foster, because with 6 months on the job, I'm still trying to learn my way around the alphabet soup.
I feel like I've been working at the Water Authority longer than you have.
You've been associated with it longer than I have, anyway. But no, it is. Yeah, I knew exactly what you're talking about. But basically, what that does, it refers to that grant, where the savings are guaranteed if we invest that amount of money.
Gotcha. Yeah. It was really cool because when I first did the wastewater tour, it was really well done, and I got to know about the whole process, going from each individual station and piece of technology, and talking about the upgrades and how they did it before, and how it used to have to go out and crank things, and now you can just sit at your office and press a button on SCADA. They're also very, very excited about that new hydraulic press, where you're talking about the sludge, and they're like, you would not believe the difference in quality. So that was really cool. And then about a year later, we came for our Leadership Bedford course. That's our 6-month course that we do through the chamber. And we were doing a tour, and I had already done kind of the wastewater process, overview, but I was like, has anything broken? Is it treating you right? Are you saving the money? They're like, nothing's broken. It's all gone exactly as planned. We're saving lots of money, saving lots of time. I'm like, that is so cool. I love when a project works exactly how you thought it would.
Well, and that's one of the things that's really cool about this is, we were talking about my background, and when you're in marketing and you're in media and you're in business, you always go and you try to support those others, if there's ribbon cuttings or whatever. Well, this is kind of cool. Even though it's not ribbon cutting, we get to come back a couple years later and see the rest of the story. What happened after that ribbon cutting? So I think that's one thing that's kind of cool about this event as well.
Absolutely. And people, if you think that you're not interested in the wastewater process, let me just tell you are, because it is really, really interesting. Because at the end of everything, the water is clear as crystal.
Yes, it is very interesting to find out how that is all done. And then you talk to some of the wastewater workers, and they tell you about some of the things that they find.
Oh, yeah.
And you're like, how in the world did that even fit down a drain or whatever? And so it's very fascinating to find out about. And we will be offering a tour if anybody wants to do it at the end of the program. We'll have folks standing by to give a tour for them as well again.
Nice.
So, and thanks for the plug. You seem to enjoy your tour. So anyway.
Well, it's always nice when people that are that excited and knowledgeable are willing to tell you about it.
Yes.
And I won't repeat some of the stories of what people have flushed down the drain, but it is very interesting.
Yes, it is.
Well, Kyle, this has been a pleasure. Is there anything else that you want to add?
No, I just we just wanted to thank you, Foster, for some of the things we were chatting with the team as we were planning this event, and this podcast came up. And for the technology that you're introducing to Bedford is awesome, whether it's a podcast or the Mike show with an internet-based radio show. It's just pretty cool to watch all of this unfold. And, we were talking about it right before we went on air with the chamber newsletter, and all the things. Everybody looks forward to that, to find out all the goings on, to plan their week. So kudos to you for all that you're doing, and thank you for having us.
Well, thank you very much. We try to adapt with the times and serve our members as well as we can and keep our community informed. And people, we were reading something not too long ago. It was something about how every single generation and person in the workplace communicates differently and gets their information differently, which makes it very challenging sometimes to hit all those bases. But that's what we really try to do, and we try to help our members do that with us. So thank you so much for the compliments. I love seeing you. And this has been a great conversation.
Well, thank you again, Foster.
Of course. Well, and if people want to get in touch with you, what's the best way to do so?
Well, you can either email me, kdraper@brwa.com, or you can give us a call at 540-586-7679. Ask for me. Hope I got that number right. Nerves didn't get the best of me. But anyway, just give us a call in, ask for me, Kyle Draper, and I'll be glad to answer any questions about the event or any questions in general. That's part of our job as a communications team. And as you said, everybody gets their information differently. And so if you want to call in, email, check our socials, check our website, it's all there.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much.
All right. Thank you.
Well, if you want to learn more about us at the Chamber, you can call us at 540-586-9401, or you can visit our website, bedfordareachamber.com, for information about our mission and the perks of becoming a member. But also on our website is a full directory of our membership, which is helpful for finding all sorts of great things in the region, including the Bedford Regional Water Authority. But that's all for today. Thanks so much for listening, and keep an ear out for the next Chamber Vibes podcast.